The key, y'all, to healing your correction wound, like most wounds, is reframing. You got to reframe what these experiences have meant to you. So if you have been corrected in any of these unhealthy ways that we've talked about, that have created any of these wounds that we've talked about, you've got to reframe what these experiences mean to you. It's so important. You have to reframe what these experiences mean to you, because in reframing these experiences, you reset the beliefs behind correction that you have. So you reset you reset your beliefs around your correction wound, so that you don't see correction as something that's shaming you. But you see that experience, even if it was bad, you reform the belief so you can reform the thoughts, so you can reform the emotions, so you can reform the behavior, so you can change your life. Remember, beliefs create thoughts, thoughts create emotions, emotions create behaviors, behaviors change your life. Again, beliefs create thoughts, thoughts create emotions, emotions create behaviors, and change behaviors change your life. So the key to healing any of these wounds is reframing your beliefs around these experiences. And when you reframe your beliefs around these experiences, you see them differently. So I'll give you an example. They yelled at you. Maybe you were yelled at a lot as a kid, and it was done in a way that wasn't healthy or in love or grounded in love, but it was done in shame and anger and abuse. Well, if they yelled at you when you made mistakes, you would probably say stuff like, "I'm a disappointment." That probably made you feel like you were a disappointment. You got to reframe that. That the yelling didn't mean you were a disappointment, and neither did the yelling mean that you were always innocent. The yelling meant that you were connected to someone who had the inability to correct you without keeping, they had the inability to correct you and not separate their love for you at the same time. I told somebody yesterday, and I want to say this again now. I told somebody yesterday that, y'all, you got to stop taking trauma from broken people so personal. Can y'all put that in the chat? Stop taking trauma from broken people so personal. Stop taking dysfunction from broken people so personal. I get it. When you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, it's hard to do that. Because if you are being traumatized at 5 from an adult who doesn't have their trauma and dysfunction in order, you're going to take that as a kid personal if it's not grounded in love. But you know what, y'all? One of the beautiful things about growing up and becoming an adult and an aware adult, you realize that, man, when I take the trauma of an adult, a full-fledged, self-aware adult, when I take their trauma personal, their dysfunction personal, it absolutely becomes a me problem and not a them problem. Y'all, I'm telling you right now, and don't get offended when I say this, but I mean it. It is real silly to walk around taking the dysfunction of broken people personal. And I'm going to tell you, that's going to solve 30% of your wounds. I want y'all to put this in all caps. This is salad worthy. You know what a value, you know what solves 30% of your wound, 30% of your wounds? It's 3 words. Evaluate the source. You want to heal your correction wound? You want to heal your abandonment wound? You want to heal any wound you got? Think about the people who gave it to you. Good gracious. Man, if that ain't salad, are y'all supporting this show? If that ain't salad worthy, I don't know what is. If you want to heal any of your wounds, think about the people who gave them to you. That's a great place to start, because that's going to deal with, no, let's change that 30% number. That's gonna solve 50% of the problem. Because you know what? It deals with them. Y'all not listening. This is just so easy sometimes. This stuff is so easy and so common sense sometimes. I have to pinch myself. That if you've been wounded, you have a correction wound by a dysfunctional parent who also had correction wounds, had their own challenges, had their addictions, had their problems. They were completely unaware of them or oblivious to them, didn't do the work, and they were overly harsh with you. How legitimate is that wound? How legitimate is it for you to walk around and say, I'm not worthy, when the person who made you feel that way had unresolved trauma? 50% of healing the wound is realizing who wounded you. 50% of healing the wound is acknowledging who wounded you. Because when you've been wounded by broken people, and those broken people don't have the self-awareness to realize that they got a problem, you would be crazy. I'm gonna say, I don't care if it offends you, I'm gonna look you in your face and tell you. If you have been wounded by a broken person, and that broken person doesn't even have the self-awareness to realize that they are broken, and their brokenness has you questioning your worthiness, at that point, they ain't the problem. You are. At that point, you are the problem. And let me tell you something. I have simplified this work for my clients. It's almost a crime how simple it becomes to them when they realize it. Doc, I got this wound. I've always felt shame. I've never felt worthy. And they just cry and I let them cry. Ooh, I never felt worthy. I never felt worthy, Doc. I just know I was always corrected wrong. I never felt worthy. I let them get through it. And I say, tell me about the person who corrected you. Well, it was my mama. My mama, she never knew who her mama was. Her daddy left them and abandoned them. She had drug addiction. She had these problems, these challenges, and she absolutely wanted me. And then I'll be like, say all of that again. No, repeat that again. And I make them repeat it. They don't get it. Because the first time I tell them to repeat it, they think I didn't hear them. So I say, repeat it again. And then they repeat it. And then I look them in the face and say it again. That's when the lights start going off. How legitimate is a wound that comes from a dysfunctional person? I'm helping y'all write that question down with the word levels. How legitimate is a wound from a broken person? How legitimate is a wound from a dysfunctional person? I'll wait, because some of y'all thinking. There's truly levels to this, y'all. And while many of y'all are in therapy and you're on year 13 trying to work through a correction wound from a dysfunctional parent, let me just help you cut to the chase and save you some money. 50% of solving it is evaluating the source of where it came from. And if the source of the wound is dysfunctional, the legitimacy of the wound is in question. That's a bar. If the source of the wound is dysfunctional, if the source of the wound is dysfunctional, the legitimacy of the wound is in question. What a bar. That's salad worthy. Y'all better support this show. If the source of the wound is dysfunctional, the legitimacy of the wound is questionable. Just start right there. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be like, well, doggone it. How was I walking around for all of these years and into my adulthood thinking I'm not worthy when the people that were wounding me didn't even have no self-awareness about their own challenges? Fonda said, this just gave me an aha moment. Yeah, plenty of them. This stuff ain't hard. Doc, why your clients heal so fast? Y'all experience it in real time. You think this is tough? You ought to be a subscriber, or you ought to be a client. There's levels to this. Don't take Doc long. And it doesn't take you long either. Why don't you start before you start reframing, or to help you rather reframe what these wounds mean? Start with who the source is. I'm telling y'all, some of y'all, many of you, I'm done. Last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm wrapping this up. I'm done. Many of y'all are carrying correction wounds right now that are really illegitimate. And it's too much TikTok, and it's too much Instagram, and it's too much Chat GPT, and all of this stuff. A lot of these correction wounds that many of y'all are carrying are really illegitimate. You know why? Because you got them from dysfunctional sources. I mean, besides, how do you expect a dysfunctional person to treat you? How do you expect a dysfunctional person to treat you? How? Appreciate that, Leanne. Always good to see you. Always appreciate your support. How do you expect a dysfunctional person to treat you? Some of you, this carries into your marriages and your relationships. Some of you claim to have wounds from your partners. Well, my ex-husband, my ex-wife, my ex-boyfriend, my ex-girlfriend wounded me. Wait a minute. Hold. How they wound you? Well, they got me feeling like I'm not worthy. How they make you feel like you're not worthy? Because of how they treated me, how they talked to me. They cheated on me. Okay. Then tell me a little bit about them. How healed were they? Doc, they had a lot of problems. They were real attitudinal. Who raised them? Doc, she, they ain't know their mama or their daddy. So you're telling me you were wounded by a broken person, right? Yeah. You tell me you were wounded by a dysfunctional person, right? Yeah. And how legitimate is that wound? You're telling me you're questioning your shame or your worth and your value off the behavior of a broken person. That's what you're saying? And here many of you all are in therapy going on year 20 and you ain't solved this wound. You're in year 20 and you ain't solved this wound. Demetra says, what if the person has a delusion or skewed view of the person that caused the wound? They're still not in self-awareness. Here's the beautiful thing about that question, Demetra, because it's a reminder that even if the person that caused the wound has a skewed view of the person who caused their wound, they will never be able to get to a place of pure authenticity and healing until they just get honest about the person who wounded them. And many of us are playing games with the people that wounded us. You know why? Because you don't want to admit that your mama, your daddy, your uncle, your brother, your ex, you don't want to admit these people did it. Oh my God. It's safer for you to turn a blind eye than to admit it or to have a difficult conversation. One of the most beautiful things that I see in my space is when children and their parents come together and they get together on their healing journey together. I think that's a beautiful thing, especially among adult children. You know why? Because there's probably a lot of mutual hurt that's taking place. It's a beautiful thing to watch. But those conversations are hard because one or both of you have to admit, we got a big part in this. I got a big part in this. So those conversations are very hard, but beneficial. Oh, yes, very beneficial. Okay, so I hope that answered that question, right? Yeah, good. Thank you, Demetri, right? So this again, just it starts with that. You evaluate the source, great. Then this is a dysfunctional person. Then let's go to reframing. Then what is it? What did this experience mean to me? And what is the new meaning or new belief that I'm going to create regarding my experience then with this dysfunctional person that wounded me? What is the new belief I'm going to create? Well, they did maybe the best according to their ability, their knowledge. And now that I'm aware of the challenges that they experienced, I can free myself not to feel shame or guilt, not to feel shame or guilt receiving that kind of treatment from someone who was also broken. And you start with that new belief, and that new belief creates a new thought. That new thought creates a new emotion. That new emotion creates a new behavior. That behavior changes your life. Y'all, was this helpful? Was this helpful? Let me just throw a couple of things on the screen real quick. 3-hour intensive. I still have some slots open. You guys are interested in that. That's my couples intensive, 3 hours with me. It's very popular right now. Don't make it happen, let it go. Those are flying off the shelf as well. Really appreciate your support. Dallas, I'm going to be with you this Saturday, not tomorrow, but next week. I'm going to be with you next Saturday, September the 13th. I want to see you there. Get your tickets, Dallas. Let's pack it out. LA, I'm going to be with you October the 4th. Can't wait to be in LA. It's going to be a great stop. Make sure you get your tickets for LA. Also, Healing Forward, my fall course. It's a 4-week course. Those of you that have already signed up for the course, I'm going to have to alter one date, but it doesn't matter if you can't make the date, no big deal. These sessions are recorded, and the people that participate get access to the recording. And so Healing Forward is my 4-week course. I do a spring course and a fall course every year. So if you haven't signed up for that, it's powerful, really good topics that we're going to be discussing. I'd love to see you there. And then, of course, tonight, New Orleans, we announced it. November the 15th, I'll be in New Orleans, Louisiana for my New Orleans stop. It is a $20 ticket in commemoration of the 20-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. I wanted to do something to be a blessing to that city. I hope this is acceptable. And I hope those of you that are from New Orleans or have family there, that you would just tell people to just come out and be a part of it, because I would love to see that place packed out in New Orleans. All right. So make sure you get your tickets. That is live. And I think people are already grabbing tickets like crazy. So you might want to jump on this really soon and spread the word. If you know anybody in New Orleans, tell them to get on this like now, because we really want to try to pack the place out. All right, y'all.